Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Premier League presentation bringing you guys a game between paiN Gaming and Team Empire. This is a best of 3 series. We are going on into game 3. It's been 1-1. paiN taking down the first one with a lot of aggressive play, Nyx Assassin, Bounty Hunter, that kind of thing. But it's going to be Empire taking game 2 with some really nice play, gank oriented with the whiffs and CK, but very team point reliant with that Darkseer as well. So really awesome game on both counts. Hopefully you were able to check them out. Otherwise we'll have the VODs up on YouTube after the performance, after the broadcast. But we're going on into game 3. That's the bottom line here, is we're going to be looking at these two, seeing the opportunities, kind of getting a feel for each other's styles, going head to head, and we'll be seeing what these two teams come out with here. So it's just a pretty awesome opportunity to see all these great teams really just going at it, and very pleasure to cast for you guys. Anyways, we do see right off the bat with this banning pool that it's going to be changing things a little bit. Understandably, the Wisp ban will come out for paiN Gaming right off the bat. They know if they don't want to pick it up, they definitely don't want it in the hands of Funnick there. Just played it so very remarkably well. But with the Nyx Assassin picked up for paiN Gaming, that leaves open both the Bat Rider and the Keeper Light, and Team Empire snatches those up right off the bat. So this is going to be an awesome game. Whether Funnick or Scandal pick up that bat, it's going to be a very aggressively dynamic hero that can just jump in and initiate very effectively. But we're also looking at this Gyrocopter and Shadow Demon, which are very powerful in their own sense. They're most likely going to have Gyrocopter as a number 1 here, with Nyx Assassin and Shadow Demon supporting on the bottom, but that's not set in stone. Gyrocopter is so flexible. They can go for an aggressive tri-lane, they can go for a solo mid gyro, they can go for even a supportive gyro and run the Nyx as a core, and King RD actually did that previously, actually in game 1, which allowed them to be more active, be more dominant, get that Vendetta up early, and just deliver so much very painful burst damage. So that's something to keep in mind. Along with that, Bat Rider is one of those heroes that I call it kind of incidental damage. He has this damage source that's kind of out of his control. He pops off the Firefly, and wherever he walks, he leaves that path of flames. But if Nyx Assassin wants to disable him, all he has to do is pop off the Carapace and walk right into the fire. Bat Rider suddenly, even if he blinked on into the position, he will be locked down, and he won't be able to pull out of that spot. With his reduction to his strength gain, I think it's 2.4 now, and the fact that he doesn't he puts himself right in the front lines when he blinks on in to lasso somebody out. Nyx Assassin is really a thorn in his side that can cause him a lot of grief. So we'll see how it's played. It's still a great hero in the hands of either Scandal or Funnick, but we're going to proceed from there. Finally, though, Silent is tired of having to go with these heroes that he doesn't love as much. The Darkseer is great, but it just, and especially in his hands, but he loves his Bane. Silent is raring to go, picks up the Bane before they move on into the second phase of the draft, and I think that's really great with the Keeper Light. Bane Nightmare into a Illuminate is going to make sure that somebody's going to be taking a heck of a lot of damage, and the Brain Sap to follow means you can bring like a 600 HP hero down into like around the 200 HP mark, which auto attacks of course will follow up to bring him down. It's just pretty ridiculous. But that being in mind, we still move on into the next draft phase, and we do see bans coming out for the Magnus, the Lone Druid, the Phantom Lancer, and the Lifestealer. Right now, paiN Gaming have a carry type hero, the Gyrocopter, and although that may or may not be their number 1, they know that Team Empire is going to be having to look for a hard carry, and they don't want the PL, they don't want the Lifestealer to be part of that, and that's very reasonable. That's very understandable based on the Keeper Light being such a great support to catapult a carry into the late game. Whether it's the Illuminate to give them breathing room through harassing away the opposition, the Chakra Magic to keep them sustained on the lane and keep them very aggressive, and also the fact that Recall allows them to farm across the map and then suddenly find themselves right in the thick of things when they need to be. It's a really powerful hero in that sense, and I think that it's good to ban out those super hard carries that can benefit from him so substantially. In the interim, we do see that paiN Gaming will take once again off the Templar Assassin, and although they don't have a Magnus on the board for themselves, it makes sense with just the Nyx Assassin. It does indicate to me, however, that they don't want to run the Gyrocopter on the mid lane. A Rocket Barrage is very powerful for taking out that Templar Assassin's refraction, and if that was their intention, they wouldn't have had to worry about it. But they are obviously looking for another mid, possibly something like a Puck or a Queen of PaiN, or maybe even that Brewmaster. It worked out very effectively in some regards, just not in enough of them to make it count. So we'll see what paiN Gaming has up their sleeve, but for the moment the Rubik has been additionally taken out of the pool.
5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
So, with that, we're just kind of waiting to see what goes on through. Generally speaking, Rainmaker has some good insight as to how things are building out, but all I can really say is Silent's going to be picking up that paiN, heading up top with the Keeper Light, most likely picked up by Goblack. And from there, Blow Your Brain's still looking for a carry, and then Scandal or Funnick will be taking that Bat Rider on the mid or bottom. From there, most likely we're going to see Klotz picking up the Gyrocopter down bottom with the Nyx Assassin by either King RD or Grent or Billy. And then from there, Shadow Demon will definitely be Grent or Billy, and they'll kind of follow through with that. So I would love to see the Nyx in the mid-roll because he can be so much more active. However, his lane presence is needed elsewhere. If there is some contest on the bottom lane, Nyx Assassin really needs to be having that option to just put out that pressure with those big stuns. Cool. So looks like we're just going to be waiting out and seeing what they want to pick up. Tapping into a lot of reserve time here. They really need to make something that'll work up against this paiN, because the hardcore disables from that Fiend's Grip, from the Nightmare, it really is difficult to deal with, and it's something that they're going to have to work around. Getting some long-range disables on the paiN. I would love to see a Clockwork, personally, for their offlane, if that's something that Fuga is experienced with, but it's not necessarily everybody's hero. You have to use the cogs very particularly to keep yourself alive, and instead they go with the Disruptor. They're going with the second support. They'll have King RD on the Nyx in the mid, and then Grent and Billy will pick up the Shadow Demon and Disruptor, one or the other, and go on the bottom lane. So that will help out a little bit. The Static Field and the Glimpse both working to disrupt the paiN's channel, and beyond that, if they can screw over the Bat Rider a little bit, breaking the Glimpse, just casting the Glimpse, half a second later, the Bat Rider will automatically break the lasso. He doesn't take the guy with him. That would be kind of ridiculous. So instead, the chains are immediately broken. But that Clockwork I was talking about is going to come out for Team Empire, and I'm curious to see if it's actually going to be an aggressive trialing with the Clockwork, or if it's going to be an off-lane Funnick, because both of those will work. I've seen those both in the kind of the Eastern European type metagame type things. I think it was 3D Clan that pulled out some pretty cool stunts with the Clockwork on the offlane, that kind of thing, and I think it's a very viable hero in that circumstance if you go for the trialing with them, but otherwise they're just going to be looking to get some levels on him. The cogs are great defensive utility, because anytime a melee hero tries to get close, and Gyrocopter, yeah, he's ranged, but he doesn't have that great of attack, so ooh, very interesting indeed. But anyways, the Gyrocopter trying to get close to the Clockwork. The cogs will generally bounce him back, but ooh, the Clinks comes out. Ooh, this is going to be fun. This is fun. I mean, the Weaver on the offlane will be interesting too, and it might indicate an aggressive tri-lane with Klotz going safe lane solo. But we are going to, along with that, see the Clinks drafted up. So Blow Your Brain on Clockwork of all, and now we're going to go Clinks, and they're going to farm him extensively. So this is going to get very dicey very quickly. It's going to go, the first couple minutes might be a little bit slow, and then we're just going to jump into high gear, active team fights constantly. It's going to be difficult to keep up, but I'll do my best. So this is going to be fun, because they are leaving Funnick on his Clinks. It's very iconic here, and it's going to be interesting one way or another. King RD on the Nyx Assassin expects to go up against the Bat Rider. The Magic Stick picked up because of that. We are seeing Klotz head bottom, but I kind of have suspicion that Grent, Billy, and Fuga want to head up top as 3, and then have Klotz just safe lane solo, and that can work out pretty effectively for them. Or they could even have the Gyrocopter in the aggressive tri-lane. Both heroes working very nicely in that regard. But that might be thwarted by the fact that Blow Your Brain is picking up the Clockwork and heading towards bottom. We are going to be seeing Silent, Goblack, and Blow Your Brain, all 3 going down towards the bot lane and trying to put out this pressure. And I mentioned the tri-lane Clockwork. It is rather effective when you get the cogs in the right placement. You can either single somebody out 100%, or you can really just push the enemy back. It's great for separating those early skirmishes, and it's something that if Blow Your Brain is well practiced with it, can do a lot with. In the meantime, Funnick just going to be happy to farm, has his Wraithman, and is pooled 2 sets of a regeneration, Tango and Salve, both from Goblack. And from there, that means that he's going to be farming 100% of the time, and whoever is sent his way, maybe just Fuga in a 1v1, he won't have to worry about it. So I really hope that paiN realizes what's going on and counteract with a defensive tri-lane. Seeing the Clockwork down here, it's still hard to say, but let's just check out their Radiant Vision. They see Silent, they see Goblack rotating on through, so they know what's coming, and they definitely have to keep all 3 heroes down here. So Klotz is raring to go with that, Grent as well, and both tri-lanes are, I gotta say, very powerful. The cogs and the kinetic field are pretty similar in how they interact throughout the fight, so it's about placement there, but the Disruptor does have more flexibility in the sense that he has at least some cast range on it, rather than just popping off in the melee sense. So that'll be interesting. Scandal going on the mid lane, and yeah, playing his Batrider up against King RD. It'll be pretty interesting right off the bat. Doesn't have all that much intellect to burn, but King RD starting off with this standard mana burn to try to put out some counter pressure, but already taking up some big hits here as the Napalm continues to stack. Magic Stick nullifying that a little bit, but it'll be interesting to see how that works out for them. But most of the action is going to be down here on the bot lane, and are starting that off Billy and Silent, swapping some blows right here. Without Brain Sap, Silent can't keep doing this forever, but Billy only has some limited regeneration of his own. Hard to say, but it'll be pretty cool. So Fuga will, once he gets his Gemini attack up, will be able to tango with Clinks a little bit more actively. He can kind of go back and forth and trade hits more just continuously. But from there, it's really anybody's lane. Both of them being very, very experienced in the solo lane circumstances, and both of them have a lot of potential there. Illuminate coming on through, not hitting on anything. First Illuminate of the day and not going to connect. That's unfortunate for them because his Chakra Magic is going to be very vital to keep Silent going, to keep himself going. Godblack really needs to be cautious about how he uses his mana. And we do see back and forth. The King RD is actually pushing out the lane with 3 range creeps here. It will fall and break like water on the rock underneath on the tower. But that'll just give Scandal some dedicated farm without any denies and moving him in towards that lasso pretty early on. However, his mana pool is not really much that he can work with. Probably even just going for a 0 Flame Break build because he knows he's not going to have any mana anytime soon. We do see the disruption. The Soul Catcher comes on through. Barrage trying to do some damage to Silent, but cogs go on. There is the Nightmare to keep Gyrocopter up, I guess. But no, it's going to be pulling him out of position. One more right click is all they need. Grant doesn't have the range, falls back here, and instead he's going to take too much damage, salves up immediately, and they will be able to fall back from here. But my oh my in exchange, good Nightmare on Klotz means that he couldn't get that Flat Cannon DPS off. Those 3 auto attacks would have spelt disaster for the Bane if they had just gotten a little bit more in. But instead that didn't happen. We do see another disruption. The creeps are advantage is completely in favor of the paiN right here, and it's going to be Blow Your Brain completely out of position. Nice Illuminate connecting, but it's already down. The first blood is off, and that puts him in a bad spot. Scandal, bottle crowing immediately as soon as he gets it out to him, as it's already a flying courier. But yeah, Blow Your Brain had no creeps to support him, and it was a very, very easy disruption Soul Catcher pickoff. So it works out nicely, and that kinetic field, like I said, works the same way. These are pretty much, I wouldn't say identical lanes, but they have very, very similar ideas to go back and forth. Using a little bit of his mana here, Batrider is able to push back King RD for the moment, but again, that Magic Stick and Bottle doing work. So the idea here is disruption into kinetic field when compared to Nightmare into the cogs. And so far it's been advantageous for paiN, but it's all about positioning and timing, and it's very, very interesting how these two are working out. Even the Battery Assault compared to Rocket Barrage is a very stable comparison. So once these guys get in close quarters, the damage is going to be flying back and forth, but a little bit more stable on the end of Empire. Taking a little bit of a disadvantage though with that first blood. Now we see up on top, Klink's dominating the Weaver. Holy crap, is Fuga getting just stormed on. He does have Tranquil Boots relatively soon, but Funnick just showing why he is considered one of the best offlaners in Western Dota is the sense that he has already got his Aquila up. He is going to get Tranquil Boots most likely, and he can just sustain on this lane indefinitely with that. He has plenty of mana to work with, 1.7 regen to fuel his Searing Arrows, which only cost 8, and from there, he is just going to keep going. That is going to be very difficult for the Weaver, actually taking a long walk of shame back. It's a little bit briefer with the... Oh my gosh, Scandal in a bad spot. Nice Carapace, but he doesn't have the follow-up with the stun. 135 mana. He needs 5 more mana to get the kill. Scandal is still in a bad spot here, but I don't know if he can get it. The Napalm, oh my gosh, the Napalm killed him. Scandal thought that he could do it, but instead, here comes Godblack in a nice position, flanking on in the trees to get some big Illuminate off. But on the mid lane there, that attempt to get the Napalm off set it up so that the Nyx Assassin could get that Impale off and get the kill right there. So it worked out nicely, and I'm curious about the movement speed. Right now, 340 compared to the Nyx Assassin 300. He definitely could have gone on out of there, but actually we see down in bottom lane looking for the disruption, barely out of range, instead turning over to presumably the Keeper Light. Do they know? I mean, they must know he's in there, but they didn't retaliate on him just yet, knowing that he's probably the most survivable with the highest movement speed at base. So Klotz ranking up this Flat Cannon, and it's really good in a try versus try. It allows him to harass all 3 heroes while pushing down and clearing out the creep waves and getting some CS for himself. Sitting currently at 14 CS compared to comparing to Phonic. It's a really rough comparison, but yeah. 14 CS, I guess you can compare it more directly to Blow Your Brain on the Clockwork. So 15 CS compared to 12, and he's doing better in that circumstance and also allowing him to harass back the opposition, but that can only work so much. There's unlimited mana on the Keeper Light now, and they're going to be able to get rank 2 Chakra Magic in a short order, and from there it's going to be more and more difficult for them to for the enemy to hold down on the bottom lane. But in the interim, Funnick up on the top, going to be able to harass quite a bit onto Fuga right here, finds him in the fog, and although that Shuki will come up in a moment, Fuga's going to take some good right clicks either way, and only has so much to work with here. Now the Disruption, oh, they're going to get this full Illuminate on. This is a rank 2 Illuminate, hitting really, really hard, but they do get the unfortunately, Blow Your Brain could not Cogs. The Disruption came out perfect timing from the Shadow Demon, and so the Cogs would not follow through onto Clots. So really good cleanup maneuver there. King RD looking for the rune spawn. It will, unfortunately for him, spawn down in bottom. So that is very, very interesting. Now we see nighttime, so it's harder to dodge out these Coddle Illuminates, but they still are managing with the creeps providing vision and therefore audio. On top of that, Clots is still farming up decently, 20 CS, but Clinks is just holding a clinical up top. He is moving towards that Orchid very quickly. Although he picked up some Aquila Tranquils to make sure that he dominates this lane, it still is putting him in position to get a well-timed Orchid. And when that Orchid Malevolence comes out, the ones that are going to suffer are any one of the heroes that rely on their cast for survivability. We actually saw, is that Batrider? Scandal is here. He has the lasso. He wants to make something happen. Has that haste rune still active. Goes on through the trees. They look down south, but they're not there. All three very wisely falling back. Their vision ran out, and instead they're like, okay, well, King RD calls missing. They're going to immediately respond to that, and Scandal, unfortunately, won't be able to find any action down here. So, Tranquils are up on Weaver. He will be able to hold the line a little bit, but again, that CS is still not in his favor at all. 16 denies compared to 15 CS. Let's look at what that experience per minute means. Weaver backs one time all the way back to base. I believe he TP'd back onto the lane, but all those denies plus one back means that there is a 190 experience per minute advantage for the Clinks over the Weaver, and that is setting him up for level 8 versus level 6. He is just dominating, and again, Fuga force back where the Clinks can just farm. That Orchid is going to be in no time at all, and that is going to be very difficult for all these supports that rely on their cast. The Shadow Demon Disruption, the Nyx Assassin's Carapace, even the Disruptor won't be able to glimpse him away. They're just going to get completely fried, quite literally, by those Searing Arrows. So that is going to be worse and worse. There's a ticking time bomb up on that top lane, and I think that if anything's going to happen, paiN need to really get some dedicated farm in this Gyrocopter. 26 CS is good, but it's not enough to compete with what's going to be coming forth in just a little bit. Fuga just having a really rough time up on the top lane. Weaver's a great pick up against the Clinks in general. With the Geminate, he can harass them twice over. He can turn Invis to disjoint auto attacks, so on and so forth, but it's just the way it's been played. Unfortunately, Fuga isn't able to go toe-to-toe with him. Funnick is just way too experienced, and using those Searing Arrows to make sure he doesn't aggro creeps means that he will always get more pot shots in, and that's added up over time very, very substantially. Now, this maneuver from Keeper Light, he's going in to try to keep on illuminating the creeps and try to get some harassment on the heroes, but in the worst case scenario, what he's accomplishing is pushing down the wave over and over on the tower. Keeper Light will get some CS here and there. He's sitting at 15 himself, but what's most important is Gyrocopter is going to have a really difficult time CSing underneath the tower. He gets some here and there, but it actually means that he is going to always be underneath this tier 1. The damage gradually comes in that regard, and he's not getting the CS he needs. As long as they delay the farm of the Gyrocopter, they don't even need to shut him down, get him in the grave or anything like that. They just need to make sure that he doesn't continuously farm, and they're accomplishing that just by pushing it out with Rocket, with Illuminate. It's actually really nice. King RD does have that Vendetta and a Regeneration Rune available, but isn't willing to commit to anything just yet, just roaming on around. Has Arcane Boots available at any point in time, but there's really not too much to say. A little bit scary for paiN Gaming right now is although they do have a Radiant Ward, it's completely missing is every single member of Empire. So although there's no hookshot available, they don't really know what's coming forth. Though this Observer, if we look at the Radiant Vision real quick, that Observer Ward, not a single clue what's going on. Instead, we see the lasso coming in onto King RD. He already popped off the Carapace, so this will be big damage coming forth. Unfortunately, no hookshot, so they can't really do much more except for try to snipe the Courier. Instead, it's going to be a disruption in the flames. King RD wants to go for some kills, but there's more to the party than they expected. Silent's going to take some damage, but it's the Rocket and the Brain Sap to finish him off. That is going to be in 1 point on the board for Empire, bringing down the Nyx Assassin. Probably the most core hero to bring down, as he was at the top of the experience per minute charts. So, yeah, bringing down the Nyx Assassin this early, kind of stopping that snowball before it gets rolling, that is really going to help them out a lot, and they're going to put pressure on the tier 1 tower because of that rank 2 Illuminate. Silent, looking to zone people out, looking to try to get a Nightmare off. If they can close on in, they can follow up with those 5-second cogs and really make things happen. Now we do see Clinks jumping onto the top tower, just using steering arrows. Can use strafe if he needs to, but finding opportunities to bring this down, making sure it's not deniable just yet. He's not ready to push it until the next creep wave comes on through, but he has his opportunity. This was kind of what I was talking about, though. Scandal in such a bad position because that Firefly proccing the Carapace. Now got the Impale, and he does have Soul Catcher active, popping off the cooldown, trying to burn him down. Blow your brain now, the primary target, with Rocket Barrage going on through. Nice Magic Wand. The Cogs to push them back. They cannot follow through with this. Instead, King RD's Carapace will run out. He's flame back to a big Illuminate. I don't know if they can finish him. They really want to, though. They're going to dive underneath. He bottles up to safety, and they all fall back from here. Rocket does get him. They click on King RD, bringing him down. So essential right there. Getting a second kill on their mid. Now Silent dueling it out. That Illuminate will finish off the Disruptor, and now it's just going to be the death of their support baiN, which is well worth it for that 2-for-1 spree. Now Empire is really bringing it back to where they want to be. It does give some extra gold to Fuga that they didn't intend, but he's been shut down so hardcore it doesn't really matter as much. Keeper Light getting last down the tower. They pop off the Clockwork Ultimate, which slows down Gyrocopter to get dropped down. Shadow Demon lassoed up. That cooldown already available again. They bring him down. Fuga wants to clean up the Godblack, and he will manage to do so. There was no opportunity for the Blinding Light. Instead, Fuga will retreat from here. Scandal gets blind napalms off, fireflying him back. Is he gonna get the kill here? He gets a kill on a friggin' Weaver at this stage in the game. Scandal's blind napalm setting him up, so screw maximum movement speed. I can stay active, I can make sure that I'm on target, and as soon as the Shuki ran out, the Sukuchi only lasts so long, and from there he was completely fried by a couple easy auto attacks with that napalm stack. Blink Dagger up on Batrider, Funnick with that Orchid. This is the turning point for Empire as they want to take control of this game 100%. This is really where they start completely taking control. And unfortunately for Gyro, he's only sitting at 53. He has he's making his way towards his drum. He'll have his Bracer when the team fights break out, but that's pretty much all he gets to say about that one. So yeah, Bracer on its way, and from there, if he gets lassoed up at all, he's going to have a hard time. Again, Glimpse will break it, but it is delayed, and that short time period where he's pulled out of position could be those crucial seconds that will spell his demise. And we do actually see on the mid lane, he's already raring to go. Funnick trying to find an opportunity. Orchid to start means that he will not be stunned out, and he just has to make sure there's not two. One Disruption or one Impale could make sure that he doesn't have anything to work with, but he's just going to go and, in a moment, refresh his Death Pact. 13 seconds away from that. We do see a smoke gank up top, but there's nothing to bring down. Weaver just farming away. They think they're going to try to initiate on him, and they want to be ready for it, but unfortunately they're just going to be wasting their time as this kind of goes back and forth. Ping's going on through. They get the Death Pact off. Funnick has so much attack damage, and here is Klotz. They see him on the ward. He is in a terrible position right here, and the only thing that will help him out is this Disruptor trying to glimpse back. And now the Disruptor is walking away. I'm not too sure about this one here. No, they're going to actually go on the Disruptor himself. So low HP. Come on, Funnick. He really wants to do this. He's just waiting for the perfect opportunity. He is away from the tower now. Billy has no chance to run, but he's still waiting it out. There we go. And unleashing all those auto attacks. Quick right clicks. Doesn't even need that Orchid bonus. Instead, turning around, he wants to go for two. Avoiding, he's going to be able to tank up this Rocket and walk away. No detection out from King RD. They swoop back on in, but they're far from home, and the dust is just too unpredictable right here. So I'm not exactly sure why he delayed that long. He could have just picked and ran, but he wanted to be a little bit more careful about it, make sure that everybody was going to be still pushing up on this tier 3 so that he didn't have anybody retaliating. He's very, as aggressive as he can be, it shows that he can be very conservative as well. Now getting recalled back in to go actually in for Roshan. Right now they put out on the Sentry Ward means no vision from the Radiant. They have no understanding of what's going on past this point here. And so that is really setting them up to bring down Roche with relative ease. They don't have any kind of armor penetration, but just pushing down the wave in mid with the Illuminate is enough to give them the breathing room to get this kill early on. 14-minute Roche kill, it's ridiculous. Let's just look at this gold and experience shoot up here. They already got a lot from that last kill, but now it's just going to leap once that applies to the graph specifically, because Roshan provides quite a bit with all four to share it. They're going to jump up, and it seems small, but jumping up out of just completely based on the fact that paiN didn't have vision there means that they can now play that much more aggressive. They have the Agency Immortal. Clockwork can initiate and on the front lines pop off some beautiful cogs and then be raring to go right after the fact. So that was putting them in a great spot to move in forward, and yeah, that's what I was looking for actually. And along with that, the gold graph projecting them into around 8K. Mechanism up for the Keeper Light. He's actually going to get Earn Shadows. yeah, Earnest Shadows for him, and Funnick moving in towards that Crystallis to just add a little bit more oomph to those quick flame strikes. Drum is finished on the Weaver. Gives him a decent amount as far as to all stats. He will survive a bit more, maybe get that time lapse off, but it's going to be difficult one way or another. Although I did miss this kill. I'm sorry about that. That is actually a really big kill. Picking off Funnick here. I'm not sure. I guess he initiated on the gyrocopter, and King RD was there and available with that Vendetta. Just ready and baiting, I guess you could say. And they were able to bring him down. So, sorry I did actually not catch that out. I should keep a little bit more tabs on Funnick, but he did slip away from me there, and unfortunately, so the Nyx Assassin was ready for him, so that does mean that his killing spree will be halted a little bit prematurely, as he's now sitting 1-1-0. Klotz farming up, has that drum for himself too, stacking a little bit with these auras. I mean, it is only +5 attack speed and movement speed, but generally speaking, you want to be looking for two different options, and it looks like Klotz and Fuga have pretty much the same thing in mind. Force staff being built up for the Batrider. Scandal, when he has that, can blink in aggressively, lasso somebody out, force staff away, and from there, that's when he can pop off the Firefly, so that he doesn't have to worry about an instantaneous Carapace to disable him on out. From there, let's just check out items in general. I think that's probably the best course of action. A Gem of True Sight, bought very early for the Nyx Assassin. That's how they were able to see Funnick coming and able to counteract him. But in turn, Funnick knows that he doesn't want that to happen again and picks up a gem for himself. So Funnick, anytime that he initiates, knows that the Nyx Assassin isn't close at hand, knows that he can jump in, but oh my gosh, he's in this position. They can completely lock him down here. They have the vision, they pop out the Demonic Purge, the stuns, and Funnick is completely screwed. There is a second gem down. They can pick it up, they can kill it, whatever they want to do. You definitely see at this point now, double gem King RD. He has 2 eyes, he's raring to go. I think he has 2 eyes as a bug of some sort, but yeah, 2 gems of True Sight, and he is ready to put out a lot of pressure and make sure that he can control with either wards or invis. And the best part is he can drop one off of the base and make it so that if he does inevitably die, then he will have one available, and that's exactly what you're going to see here. So, second gem of True Sight, and that means that they have that much more control over these ganking clinks, and Funnick has to be all the more careful at this stage. Looks like quick jungle action from Empire. Scandal going to be able to actually clean this up very effectively while they take care of the western camps here through the Keeper Light and the baiN, I guess. Putting up an interesting observer ward. They still have that gem, so it will be dewarded inevitably, but having a little bit of vision, seeing them forthcoming on the top lane, will give them some safe understanding of what's going to happen near this tier 1. One thing to mention is Empire still has great map control. They have tier 1 towers across the board, have not lost a single one. The exact opposite is true for paiN, as they're sitting on only tier 2s at this stage. As far as durability of the supports, the Shadow Demon and Disruptor are rather underleveled. Their experience per minute is at the very bottom. That means that's because most of the fights they've dropped down at the very beginning of it, and the less strength they have, the easier it's going to be for Funnick to take them down very quickly. But along with that, it looks like Clinks is actually opting for more a carry-esque build now, because he has to go for that crit, not only for gank-oriented type play, but he knows that he can't just roam around and get easy pickoffs. paiN Gaming is a little bit too experienced for that, and although this call down will deter them, they're just going to put a lot of damage in this tower. Fortification comes out, and they're looking to retaliate here. It seems that the Nyx Assassin is probably going to be the one to have to initiate, but for the moment, he's just sitting down in bottom lane, not TPing just yet. They're going to let this fall. The tier 2 is going to drop. Klink's picking up the last hit on that, and that is just going to set him well on his way to his crit here. They're smoking up. They're transitioning on through. Looking for Fuga, possibly. He does have max movement speed with that Shooky. Will use it to try to get on out. Scandal has that Blink Dagger, and is just kind of biding his time. He sees him. Will he try to go for him here? It looks like that's not the case. He just goes for the deny. Very stable, and it sets him up. Oh no! He just got hook-shotted. The flare, perfect opportunity for Fuga to get dropped down. He does not get the time lapse off in time, and he will fall. Nice action from Blow Your Brain. That rocket, whether the lasso or the hookshot, they set it up. They had the rocket flare, and with that vision, it spelled the demise of that Weaver. So now we're looking at Weaver sitting 2-2-2. His experience per minute is only 333. So he's doing as poorly as the gyrocopter who split his experience 3 ways. That's just his position that he's in. Meanwhile, Klink's rampaging around, sitting at level 13 himself, even after dying twice in a row. He is just all over the map and has a lot of potential. Speaking of, they actually go down and burn down the Nyx Assassin as well. Do they get the gem on Clockwork now? Blow Your Brain finds that pickoff, and although they didn't have the cogs, they used the Fiend's Grip to go for the pickoff. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep more attention on the minimap as I've been a little bit behind. As far as those engagements go, I'm glad I can kind of say what happened after the fact, but I'd rather show it on screen for you guys, and I'll intend to do that in the near future. We do see up top Funnick getting pursued on. They do pop off the disruption gem. Just about have the dust available. They pop it off on Funnick. He's on the run. He's fast with the skeleton walk, but not fast enough with that demonic purge. Now, able to dodge out of the kinetic, but it's not enough. He will have to actually come out eventually, and they just kind of flush him out of the trees, and he's going to inevitably take the fall. They go and put this push onto the bottom lane here. Illuminate setting it up so the creeps will not really conflict with this whatsoever. Rank 4 Illuminate pretty much demolishing the entire creep wave all at once. But the tower dropping really, really quickly, and we'll have to see if this will be enough to burn it down. TP's coming on through. King RD, no utility just yet. Still has just arcanes and just that, but we see starting off Scandal jumping in, actually not wanting to do too much more with everybody there. Thought he could find a pickoff, but instead met with 3 individuals. Says, I'm not going to take that chance. They're going to fall back from there, and since the siege creep isn't here yet, they don't have to worry about the tower being in deny range. This siege creep might tell a different story if paiN plays their cards right, but the creep wave should push out before then and make it a non-issue. Interesting smoke movement. They still want to stay active. They fall back, and it's kind of a feint. They fall back. They actually recall in the Clinks. He pops off the Death Pact. He can turn Invis himself, and from there, anybody that's pushing out on this wave, they can easily just bring down. But instead, they're going to put pressure out onto this tier 2. Creeps are here, the backdoor protection will fall, and a couple of quick right clicks lending their way will let them with another tower kill. It's just kind of cementing their advantage right here, going past 10k now in the goal graph. That's really, really setting them up for success as they move on through with Clinks, probably looking for a BKB next. We see the initiation. Scandal jumps on in onto Fuga, and he's just dropped down before the time lapse has any chance in the world, and now they can even look for the tier 3s. Goblak continuously pushing down on the creep wave every time it spawns, charging up that Illuminate. Lasers are raring to go, and shoop to whoop, that's gonna completely fry this next wave. So they will keep on pushing onto this tier 3 tower, and Scandal has that double damage to deliver the hurt. They still are not committing to the high ground just yet. They're not too sure about that there, but looking at King RD, he's the one that's going to make something happen coming in through the mid. He needs to get these stuns off, but instead the tower falls. They put off the disruption onto the Clinks, but they're going for the initiation. No, Blow Your Brain misses the hookshot, and they have to fall back from here. They cannot jump in on this after that stun is unavailable. Glimpsing back in. Nope, not too bad for Goblak. He does get stunned up for the moment. They force staff him out, and I think they can walk away from this. Just walk away, man. Just walk away. That's all they need to do. But they're still kind of back and forth here for the moment. Charging up some more Illuminates and trying to play the long game, trying to like poke and prod with these Illuminates, get maybe just a little bit of damage on the clots. They feel confident with all the ultimates that were committed. But inevitably, I honestly couldn't tell you if they're really, really willing to go for the long push. The Keeper Light allows them to do it, but I guess they do have the lasso. With the lasso, with the Fiend's Grip, they're as good now as they have ever been. They just need the hookshot, but that's not that big of a deal one way or another. Funnick picking up some big items, but just getting recalled in to the fight. So he is raring to go, gonna jump on in, pops out that Orchid, burns down Nyx, gets hit so hard and completely destroyed. Popping off the time lapse already. Funnick going to town on Fuga, misses because of the blinding light. Will actually just Shadow Demon buys back. Fuga dropping down quick, don't have the vision, but Clots will drop with one more right click. No. Rocket bringing him to 8 HP before he gets back to the fountain. Changing their focus. They're going to take down this melee racks. The buyback from Shadow Demon allows them to keep on spamming out those poisons, but they're only rank 1. Now the melee racks have finally fallen. Fortification up in 6 seconds, but it seems like it's not going to be fast enough, and the range racks will fall as well. And that's it. So now 2 racks out of the 6 down, and that's going to put pressure constantly on this bottom lane. Empire's going to be able to continuously push out, control Roche more effectively, and it's just going to be less farm in the end for paiN as those creeps provide less gold and experience for each little kill. So Brent forced out to buy back. He's the only one. Indeed he is. So we're sitting 550 gold out down the drain, but he still has plenty to work with. He's a support. He doesn't really rely too much on that, and he's not really ambitious enough to go for a 4-staff or anything like that all just yet. So Grant leading the charge. They want to go for a smoke gank, maybe try to control this Roche, which should be spawning in about 5 to 10 seconds. And they are going to go in straight up on the mid. Still no blink, looking for a force instead. They get the ultimate on Blow Your Brain. He is the target of choice, but he has so much HP to work with. Scandal jumping in, gets the ultimate onto Grent. The Blow Your Brain does fall, but Grent dropping down really quickly as well. He should, after this defensive disruption, drop to the Illuminate. Now, big damage coming into Nyx Assassin. He is dropped down to 280 HP. Scandal just flying on in. Is that Haste Rune? Finishing him off and looking for Billy. Billy does not have Glimpse available and should be dropped just from the sheer amount of right-click plus Napalm. He is going to try to TP away. They have the Nightmare, though, to prevent it and bring him down. Now they have full control of the mid lane, can push in for the tier 3s or just take the Roche. They have a lot of options, and the only thing that cost them was this Clockwork, who pretty much already has his Aghanims, and he still has his ultimate available. So they didn't really commit too much, and they're going to batter down on the mid lane now. 28 seconds away from another amazing initiation from Scandal. Pulling the Shadow Demon out like that, it was a little bit of an interesting play because he'd already popped off the Demonic Purge and the Disruption was still up, so I don't think it was the best here to pull out of position, but I can't really complain in the fact that Empire completely dominated that fight as soon as they initiated on in, turned it around. There is a lot of damage coming from strafe searing arrows, but they're just going to leave the tower as it is and then try to focus on either heroes or just falling back from here. Soul Catcher down onto the Keeper Light, can take a lot of damage, but the Orchid forces the Gyrocopter back, glimpsing back on in. Godlike in a terrible spot, will be bursted down really quickly, but King RD in the same spot. He does pop off the Carapace. Will he survive? No, last tick from the Firefly, bringing him down. They have detection. Weaver will be Fiend's Grip and drop down. Klotz is the next target of choice, and they oh my gosh, that hook shot. Perfect. I thought it was going to hit on Batrider, but he is flying over head, and that's going to be Blow Your Brain connecting to bring down the third hero, dropping them all down and now taking the tower and looking for the racks. Blow Your Brain happy for this. There's really not too much more to worry about. Oh my gosh, Billy on the life. Do they have the Rocket Flare? They're looking for it. Actually, just made a right click from Funnick to finish the job. And it looks like it's the beginning of the end. Might just be the nail in the coffin here because 15k advantage in gold and 12k in experience on top of losing 4 of their 6 racks really, really puts paiN behind. And I don't know if they have the team to come back from this. Gyrocopter is only sitting on a BKB, which he has yet to use, and that's going to be it. Good game, well played is called. And with that, that was game 3 of this best of 3 series. 1-1, but in the end it goes down to 2-1. Empire taking the win over paiN Gaming. So this was really, really good back and forth between these both teams, but Empire just did so well, not only in the laning phase, but really when all things started coming together, when the mechanism came out for the Keeper Light, when Clinks picked up that Orchid, and when they had the Blink Dagger off the Batrider. All of those just spelled disaster for paiN Gaming, and they didn't have an answer for it. So that is pretty much going to be it here. Well played to Empire as they take this best of 3 series 2-1. That is the final game, and one thing to remind you guys, I didn't really mention it previously, but we do have some feature on the stream after the game. It's called Ask the Pros, and we're going to try to get one of Empire's players to talk to us a little bit about what they thought about this game. So I'll try to get in contact with them and see what's going on from their perspective. But if you guys hop into twitch.tv/the Premier League, you can ask your questions there and pretty much set it up so that we can try to get as many questions answered as possible directly from you guys to one of the pro players. We'll be announcing that on the stream and who specifically we'll have on for the interview in just a minute. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. This was really fun to cast for you guys, and Empire just taking a convincing win with some really, really nice aggression play. I haven't seen Scandal Batrider recently, just banning it out too often, and finally he gets on through the draft and dominates with it. 7-1-9, and Funnick does get to play his Clinks, just plays his style, and although he had a couple of bumps in the road, in the end it turns out immensely in their favor. So, well played to Empire. Played it really, really smoothly and nicely, and I'm glad to have been able to cast this game for you guys. So, paiN Gaming unfortunately taking another loss in the series, but that means that Empire will be the winners of this best of 3. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been Blaze of the Premier League, and I am very, very happy to be able to cast this game.